Saturday of the fourth week of Lent. Go. Come to me. Matthew 11:28. As the fourth week of Lent concludes today, let's examine once again where we are and where we have been. We turned our attention this week to the religious leaders and the growing tension and division between them and Jesus as part of this journey. We considered how the conflicts and scorn of the scribes and Pharisees may have affected Mary and others who followed Jesus. Let me now address two important lessons of the spiritual life. First, isolation usually precedes sin. For example, long before Judas met with the Sanhedrin to betray Jesus, he isolated himself. He stopped sharing his heart. He began to keep secrets, and he chose not to live in the freedom of truth. The same is true for us. Long before we sin, we usually withdraw our hearts from God. We isolate. It's not so much what is in our hearts, but where we go with what is in our hearts. Do we go to God, or do we isolate ourselves in an imaginary self-sufficiency? If we turn toward the Lord, we can ask Him for help. Second, Christian prayer is ultimately defined by relational engagement. If our prayer is going to be deeper and more relational, it needs to contain the practical circumstances of life and the deeply personal emotions that influence us. You may have heard this before, that prayer is more like a seesaw than a swing. It only takes one person to swing. It takes at least two people to seesaw. Prayer is, at its core, an interaction between two people. Prayer is not simply me, by myself, thinking about myself or my life, as if I were alone and doing some kind of mental exercise. Prayer is always a reciprocal exchange between God and me. Therefore, our prayer should always include the reality of everything that is in our hearts. We must go to God with everything. For your prayer. Spend 15 minutes in prayer, looking back on the meditations of the fourth week of Lent. What has God been saying to you? What common image, question, or theme has arisen from your prayer? Thank God for what He has done, and ask Mary to pray for you as you continue through Lent. What words stood out to you as you prayed? Enjoy your prayer.